Welcome to another Business Spotlight, where we share insights, reflections, and pearls of wisdom from local business owners. My name's Kerry James. I'm a business coach and a facilitator. And on this afternoon's Business Spotlight, I'm delighted to welcome Lucy Roue, founder and MD of Time and Tide Content. Good afternoon and welcome to Business Spotlight, Lucy.
Good afternoon. Thank you for having me.
You're very welcome. So Time and Tide Content, quite an intriguing title. Please give us a little bit of the background, the history. How long have you been in the business and what do you specialise in, please, Lucy?
Okay, yeah. So Time and Tide Content has been going for just over a year. So I set it up in September 2022. And we are a content consultancy based out of Manchester in the UK. And we specialise in multi-channel content marketing campaigns. And that's mainly in the tech sector and also mental health, which are two quite separate sectors, I appreciate, but they're two sectors that I have specialised in for a while. So, and there's also quite a lot of demand in both of those areas. So that's the kind of potted history of what we are, what we do. It includes everything really, from kind of social media management and through to thought leadership, blogs, and PR events. My background is in regional journalism. So I was a journalist for 13 years. I worked with Reach PLC. So I actually worked for titles across the north, starting in Newcastle upon Tyne, working my way down the Midlands to the Stoke Sentinel, Liverpool Echo, and then I ended up on the Manchester Evening News. I was there for 6 years. I joined on their business desk and I actually became business editor for a year, which was exciting and something I never expected or planned to do with my career, but it was a great opportunity. I got to meet and interview some amazing people, amazing entrepreneurs, people like Steve Wozniak, who co-founded Apple, CEO of Tesco at the time, Dave Lewis. I got to speak to some really, exciting business owners, really, of some of the biggest businesses in the world. And then I went on to do another role, which was a promotion that was regional commercial editor for Greater Manchester, Liverpool and Yorkshire. So this was much more a kind of content marketing angle. So not just straight journalism. We were working with brands to help get them in front of our MEN audience.
Okay, so you mentioned the tech sector and mental health, Lucy. What might be a typical client for you then, in terms of size or shape or sector or
Yeah, that's
culture?
a good question. I actually work with all different sizes of business. I think when you're starting out in business, that's always a kind of, a safe place to start. If you can bring in big businesses, then good on you. But also, I'm very used to working with SMEs. So one of the biggest clients I work with is Brother Europe. So they're a massive printing manufacturer. They're a big rival to Hewlett-Packard. And I do content campaigns for them, which go across Europe. So they get translated into 7 different languages. And at the moment, we're doing one around the EcoPro subscription, but I've also done ones around cybersecurity and lots of different topics there. In the mental health sector, more startups. So I've been approached by quite a few people who've created apps to help individuals that suffer from ADHD, which is something that I have myself. And I've worked with a provider up in Scotland around it's like a health and well-being system that HR departments can deploy to help their workforce, make sure that they're living a balanced lifestyle, and it gives them access to a lot of tutorials and things like that.
Okay, so what about the kind of environmental trends? Clearly, there's been a lot of turbulence over the last year since you've set your business up, and prior to that, of course, starting with lockdown, etc. But with hybrid working, the digital revolution, of course, AI rearing its head over the last probably 6 to 8 months, I'm guessing has potentially quite an impact on your industry. How would you say that those factors are impacting on your business, Lucy?
Yeah, I feel like I'm quite lucky in a way, because I did start up post-COVID, post-lockdown. So we were back into a more open kind of society. And events have started up again and things like that. So that hasn't been too much of a problem. Also, I think that kind of work-life balance is something that I was always looking for, actually. So to be able to work from home one day, work from town the next day, maybe a client's office, I really like that. It kind of mirrors a bit of a journalistic lifestyle. It's also very good for someone with ADHD, because 2 days are never the same, and it's always quite interesting and you're talking to different people. So that's worked really in my favor, actually. Today I'm working from my gym, if you're wondering what the background is. So it's really nice to just be able to pick up my laptop. I also worked from Australia for 3 weeks at the beginning of the year. So I was living my best life slightly then, to be honest, Kerry. And I had to come back down to earth and come back to the UK and, get some more clients, that kind of thing. In terms of kind of tech evolution, yeah, AI is something which is making a lot of noise, especially in the sort of copywriting sphere. I think what I would say is you need to keep abreast of it. You need to be on top of things like Chat GPT. You need to know what its capabilities are. Don't shy away from it, because then you're going to be left behind. You need to stay with that curve, don't you? But also, I don't see it as an existential threat to me. I've taken my whole life, I've spent writing. I've, perfected my craft as a writer and as a journalist. And yes, something like Chat GPT could come up with a very good outline for a blog, but it can't have personality. It can't have that lived experience. And I think there's a way to sort of coexist with it. And there is a lot of examples that I see now, especially on LinkedIn. It kind of makes me laugh because I see a lot of other people in my sort of sphere clearly using AI tools, because they're putting things out much more rapidly than they would do previous. But I can see through it straight away. I can see it's not been written by a human. And when you look at the engagement, it doesn't get that much engagement either, because it's lacking personality. And I think, especially with things like LinkedIn now, it's a personality tool. And you'll see, if you look at my own LinkedIn, I'm very down to earth with it. I call people mate. I call everyone mate. It's quite a bad habit, actually, but it works in Manchester, so I get away with it. But I think just being yourself, there's a lot of, I suppose it's brave in a way to just be okay with who you are, and to just not feel like you have to put on this professional front and you have to talk in long words. And because actually, when you look at the outcome, it doesn't get you more engagement. So yeah, that's maybe another thing that I've noticed.
Very good. Interesting perspective and mindset about AI. Very good. So what about challenges for your business today then, Lucy? What would you say the main challenges you face today in terms of where you are now, where you want to get to?
Yeah, I have faced quite a few challenges. The first year of business is really tough. Obviously, I was a business journalist for a long time, so I kind of had a slight mindset of, oh, I've spoken to all these people, I can just copy what they do. It can't be that hard. If they can do it, surely I can do it. But what I would say is it is a really difficult journey starting from scratch on your own. It might have been a bit easier because I'd have had someone to bounce things off and to grow processes with. But when you're suddenly the only person in a business, you're responsible for everything. So, I obviously love writing and I'm very good at it, but I don't like accounting and working with accountancy software and looking at spreadsheets. In fact, I'm quite bad at it because my ADHD, my brain just switches off and says, there's no dopamine here. So what are we doing? But you have to persevere. So it's taught me a lot about actually looking at some of the skills that I need to develop, as well as the skills that I know I'm already kind of basing the business on. So some of the challenges have been around that, concentrating on the bits that naturally I'd quite like to avoid and taking a bit more responsibility. Things like forecasting, you have to get your head around it. Otherwise, you don't know where you stand as a business owner. It's a bit laborious, but you can't really avoid it. And then kind of facing that loneliness that comes with being a business owner. And that's something I hadn't really accounted for, because obviously when I launched, I had like a really nice launch party. I've got a lot of support in Manchester. I'm really lucky, got a lot of business contacts. So I am in the perfect place to do this. But, they'll all be there to support you, but they're not going to be there to help you run your business day to day. And I really miss that social contact, especially from a journalistic background, because my whole day was speaking to various people and being in a very busy, vibrant newsroom. So I have struggled with that a little bit. And actually, it probably got to the point, maybe Easter time this year, when I decided, I think I actually want to go back in full-time employment as well as grow this business, because I've maybe put all my eggs in one basket, and this isn't something you can just do overnight. To build a good business takes time, and it takes that security, financial security, as well as sort of, mental security to be able to do it properly. So actually, once I made that decision and I was okay with it and I didn't see it as a failure, which I did at first, I just wanted to set off and sprint off into the sunset, but I kind of had to, reel it back a bit, think what's best for my long-term goals. gone back into full-time employment, and I'm doing my business in my own time, which I
Okay.
love, and I'm so much happier doing it that way for now.
So you mentioned goals and you mentioned forecasting. What are, and you mentioned the context for running your business. How would you describe the aspirations that you've got then for your business in particular over the next kind of 3 to 5 year time horizon, Lucy?
Yeah, I think where I really want to get to with my business is to be able to have a network of freelancers that are working with me. I'm quite particular about the content producers in my business. So one of the USPs for Time and Tide content is that all our writers are senior trained journalists, because one of the gaps that I saw in the market and the kind of reason for Time and Tide is that there's so many PR agencies now, and a lot of people are spending a lot of money with PR agencies, and quite often they'll get a very junior writer just out of university and they'll charge the company quite a lot of money. You know, they'll sell it on a very senior person, but the person who's actually delivering the content is very junior. And I just didn't think that's very fair. You know, I've actually worked in PR agency myself, saw it happening myself, and just thought, no, I think they deserve a bit better than that. And also conversely, I have a lot of friends in the media who, you know, journalism it's not a dying trade, but it's a changing trade, let's say. And a lot of them have been in it for many, many years and perhaps feel like they don't have the skills or they don't have the confidence to change into a more commercial role. Whereas I know that they're some of the best writers I've ever met in my life, and they're brilliant at telling a story. They're brilliant at speaking to people, finding the news line, and they have all these skills over here. All the businesses have a need for good writers. And I was hoping that maybe I could kind of be the interconnector, because I've done both sides now. You know, I've worked in that commercial space, I've worked in that more journalistic setting, and it means delivering good content on one side and it means empowering people on the other side. So I saw it as a bit of a natural fit. So I think, to answer your question, in the next 5 years, I really want to grow that network. I want to bring on more people who are quite similar in my mindset and have the same capabilities that I do. So then I'd be more like an editor-in-chief and I'd just oversee the account.
So is it part of your plan to, if you like, focus completely on your business and move away from your other employment, or what?
No, that's definitely not the plan. I love my employment, and it's actually a really good it's a really good way of balancing what I do. So I work for Make Smarter UK, and we basically are a government-backed initiative in our divisions in Manchester, and we help manufacturers, SME manufacturers, to adopt digital technology. So Made Smarter will go into businesses and they will look at the whole manufacturing process and they'll say, okay, do you know what, if we put some automation in here, this is going to improve your productivity. Or if you change your data systems, you need a new ERP system, then this will speed things up. And because we're government backed, we actually have grants that we can help fund these projects with. So no, I have no intention of going back full time into my business because I like full-time employment. It suits me and it suits my mental health needs as well. You know, I need that kind of routine. I need that human contact. I need something that's maybe a bit more fast-paced. So it does mean that my own business will grow slower than I'd originally accounted for, but I'm okay with that.
Okay. And what about you mentioned one or two points about loneliness and doing some stuff that you don't like doing, like the accounting, etc. But what would you say are the main, apart from maybe one or two of those, what are the key lessons, or what advice might you give yourself if you were starting a business again, would you say, Lucy?
I think I would have liked to consider those things a bit earlier on. But it's hard because I think starting a business is very much a learn as you go mentality. And I don't regret that either, because I quite like the challenge of something comes up and I think, right, how am I going to figure this out? You know, something comes up here. What I maybe would have done is sat down with a few more of my business contacts who've done it before and who've kind of got the battle scars a bit and said, right, this is my plan. What do you think of it? Do you think it's going to work? Is there anything that I've maybe missed out or not thought of? And it's a bit frustrating because I have the capability to do that and I have the network to do that, but I just got a bit carried away and just like, no, do you know what, I'm going to launch it. I'm quite impulsive by nature, and I'm quite impatient as well. So
what do you think's at the top of your need to learn list now then, Lucy, in terms of your next next chapter of your learning in business?
I think one of the things I need to be more confident in is my own ability, because one of the challenges that I've had is being confident in my pricing structure, for example. So when I was working for the Manchester Evening News, even though I was fulfilling a lot of the content campaigns and I was actually managing a team, I would never sell it. So I would never be the one saying to someone, okay, you pay me this amount of money and we'll deliver this. When you're in a business and it's only you and you're the sales function as well as the content function, I didn't account for how uncomfortable that might make me feel. You kind of selling your own service, and a salesperson is very good at bigging things up. That's what they're great at sales for. I'm maybe not as much of a natural salesperson when it comes to selling my own capability, and I don't think it's just me. I think a lot of people maybe feel like that, and I don't know if it's more women feel like that. I have spoken to other, female business owners who struggle with the same thing, and we've got a bit of a system now where we'll kind of sense check with each other. Like, I'm going to put this out to a client. What do you think of the price? Do you think that's fair? Do you think? And actually, we found we were underselling ourselves massively. And we talked to maybe some of our male counterparts who are also doing content, and they were like, "You can double that easily." And, we just needed someone to sort of give us that validation a little bit. And I've learned over the year that I've done, and I've tested that, and I haven't had a negative response. I've actually had a really positive response that I should just, I should believe in myself a bit more, and I am good enough. I've got a hell of a lot of experience, so why not if other people are doing it?
And linked to the pricing then, Lucy, how do you package up your services? There are different levels, there are different combinations of different elements of writing, or so many articles per month. How does it work in terms of packaging up your service?
Yeah, that's something I probably need to work on a little bit more. I'd say for now it's been fairly, not ad hoc, but on a project by project basis. So I haven't got to the point where I've got retainers, for example, just because of how I had to kind of adapt and go back into full-time employment. I didn't want to promise full-time retainers to people. So at the moment, I'll be working on a specific project for a specific amount, and then, we'd price that up kind of separately. So some of that might be, for example, with Brother, a content campaign could be a PR, so a press release, a couple of blogs, and then a longer thought leadership piece. And then I'd price that, and it's very transparent. It would be against per.
Okay, and in terms of the metrics for delivering against that, can they be pretty straightforward and easy to measure, or can it be more difficult in terms of the outputs and deliverables from your programs?
I think it depends on how they are intending to use my content. So for someone like Brother, they will have a call to action at the end of each piece, and that will go through to, it depends how they're running that campaign. So it could be a gated, piece of content that it goes into. So therefore they capture all those email addresses and then they can follow them up for a lead. It might be, it depends how many, it depends how many press titles decide to pick up a press release that I've written. So I would agree what the kind of outcomes are at the beginning, and it would be very dependent on what they're trying to achieve. And, it depends on which type of content they're going down.
Very good. Well, Lucy, thank you very much for sharing your story and your time. One last question, if I may. If any Business Spotlight viewers are interested in talking to you about next step and potentially working together, what might be a sensible next step for that to happen and work?
Yeah, definitely. I mean, I'd encourage your viewers, if there's anything that they wanted to get in touch about, just generally around kind of content writing. Or I've had a lot of people come to me as a bit of a barometer recently saying, look, Lucy, we're at this point where we might go get an agency, we might go get a PR specialist. What do you think? And I'm quite happy to use my kind of, background knowledge as a bit of a consultant, just to sort of say, that looks a bit expensive to me, or if I was you, I'd go down this route. So, any way that I can help, I'm a pretty helpful person, to be fair. So I would say reach out to me on LinkedIn is the easiest and quickest way to get a hold of me.
Very good. And we'll also put your website URL with these videos as well, Lucy. So once again, thanks ever so much for your time and your input and sharing your story, and all the very best with Time and Tide content.
Thank you very much, Gary. Cheers.